give us this moment our daily bread. Feed our souls and our spirits that we then might take care of the bodies of your broken people. Lord, unless our souls are fed, we can't live. Lord, unless our spirits are nourished, we can't be used. So feed us. Prepare a table before us, even in the presence of our enemies. Feed us till we want no more. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Sister McClellan, where's Lisa? I wanted to congratulate her because she passed state certification for special education. Yeah. God bless her. Children's church or whatever we don't make that. God bless you. Remember Gertrude, y'all. Amen. Gertrude McNeil. Gertrude is home. And we'll be saying some things through the missionaries, through the stewards, and through nurses here about doing some things for Gertrude. Amen. Some of you got confused at the reading of the scripture. And Brother Powell was telling you what was printed. But we should be focusing on Job. That's the 4th and 5th chapters. That 5th chapter, that should be verses 1 through 3. And then 8 through 11. And then 17. All of the 5th chapter. So you make the note. And for the balance of the month, we should be reading all of the book of Job. Last Sunday, we talked about Jesus, my kind of friend. Now, I thought that we were finished with Job. But on Wednesday, as I asked the Lord, come on now, it's Wednesday. I haven't heard from you. You don't want to turn me loose to do it my way, so give me something. And he said, I didn't tell you to move. He said, stay where you are. For while our theme for the year is doing it God's way speaks to friendship. And it says some things about what kind of friend we ought to be. If Jesus is my kind of friend, then one can conclude that there are some other kind of friends. So the Lord said, you got to say something about Eliphaz, about Bildad, and about Zophar. The Lord said, take them one at a time. So we start a 3-part series entitled Other Kinds of Friends. Friend number 1. Now, for friend number 1, you need to consider these verses. The book of Job, the 4th chapter. I want to reread verses 2 through 5. if we say, if we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? In other words, if I run something on you, will you get mad? But who can withhold himself from speaking? That which I need to say is so important. I hope you don't get mad, but I gotta say it. Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was failing, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it comes upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Then I want to read from the 5th chapter, verses 2 and 3. For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. Translation, he's calling Job a fool. And then the 8th verse, I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause. And then finally the 17th verse, behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. Other kinds of friends. Friend number 1. We need to consider the background. Job was a prosperous man. There was no one more prosperous than Job. Job had been blessed with 10 children. 7 were sons. To have a son, that was a special kind of blessing. You can go through scripture and you find instance after instance where the people of God prayed not just for a child, but give us a son. There was a special value placed on a son. The lineage was passed on. The inheritance was passed on. The name was passed on through the son. So God gave him 7 sons. But God also gave him 3 daughters. And in addition to children, God blessed him with 7,000 sheep. And God blessed him with 3,000 camels. And God blessed him with 500 yoke of oxen. And God blessed him with 500 donkeys. And God blessed him with many, many, many servants. Job was a prosperous man. Job was considered righteous. Job had everything that anybody could possibly do. But then, after prosperity, Job experienced a painful plight. He had a servant who run to him one day and spoke to him saying, Job, the Sabians came from the hills and they fell upon us and they killed all of your servants except myself. And they killed all of the donkeys and the oxen. They're all gone. And while he was yet speaking, another servant who was someplace else, and that's why he wasn't killed, came rushing in and said to Job that a fire had come down from heaven and had consumed all of the sheep. All of them. And those who were watching the sheep, they too were all destroyed, and the only one that was spared was this your servant, and I've come to tell you. And as he was yet speaking, another servant who had been someplace else came rushing in and said, Job, the Chaldeans came down, and they have taken all of the camels, and all of the camel watchers, they have killed them, and I alone have left. Why? He was yet speaking. Another servant came, said to boys in the house, and strong winds blew, and the house came down and killed all 7 of your sons. Job had lost almost everything. Job said, but naked came I. Job didn't get upset over those things, but the painful plight doesn't end there. For a few days later, you know Satan is behind all this, don't you? I mean, can't you see the hands of Satan in this stuff? When you are prospering, Satan doesn't like that. Satan doesn't want the children of God to prosper. After Job had lost things, then his body was afflicted with painful, ugly sores from the crown of his head to the bottom of his feet. His friends heard about the plight of Job. They wanted to be good friends. You know, when you hear about a friend who's in trouble, quit what you're doing and you go to see what you can do for your friend. Can I signify a little bit? Some go just to be nosy. Just to see what it's all about. You don't want to help anybody. You go so you can be in the know. You go so that you can know as much as everybody else. You can know what people are talking about. You can't jive me. Nor can you jive God. Because he looks on the heart and he sees the intent. But anyway, rather than judging them at this point, since I'm going to get on them about judging Job, can't come down on it with both feet. But they went to see about Job. It suggests, as it were, that they sort of came together. Their paths merged as they were approaching Job's house. And they saw Job, but because of the condition of his body, we are told that they didn't even recognize their friend. Reminds me of Shirley Smith. The last time Shirley was in intensive care, down at Michael Reese, and I walked into that intensive care room. Her face was so swollen. I was looking for Shirley, and I was walking right past her. I couldn't recognize her because of her affliction. So I know how they felt. They morning when they couldn't do anything. They didn't know what to say. They didn't know what to do. So they just sat on the ground with him for 7 days. They didn't say a word. Finally, Job spoke himself. And Job cursed the day that he was born. Now, let's look at Eliphaz, the first friend to speak. What would come out of his mouth, seeing Job in this condition? Look at the 2nd verse of the 4th chapter. You will find this thought. First expression that came from his friend. Job, now, I hope you understand when I say this. Job, I hope you're not offended. But Job, I've got to speak the truth. Job, I've got to tell it the way I see it. And Job, I hope you understand. He was hedging, y'all. He was trying to protect himself, y'all. He was in a defensive posture, y'all. Seems to me that his concern was more for himself than it was for Job. His first word, Job, I hope you understand what I'm about to say, and I hope you don't get bad with me. In verses 3 and 4, notice the second category of expressions. Job, now come on. You've instructed us. You've told others what to do. Job, you have helped others. Job, you've been there for others. When I'm hurting y'all, don't hit me with that. Don't come lecturing me when my body is so afflicted that you don't even recognize me when I lost everything. The last thing I need is a lecture. Don't lecture me. Notice verse 5. Eliphaz accuses Job. I mean, just basically saying, man, you're wrong. You're wrong. I don't need to be accused when I'm hurting him. Look at the 7th verse. Then he judges him. He not only accuses him, but then he judges him. He charges him and then finds him guilty. You see why Jesus is my kind of friend? Yeah. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord Jesus. My kind of friend, but there are other kinds of friends. Notice in the 5th verse, the 2nd and 3rd verses. The essence is he calls him a friend. So you're foolish. That's like taking a dagger that's already pierced my heart, and you are turning it, you're twisting it. And then the 8th verse. The friend did give some good advice. He said, oh, you have to go to God. Take it to God. That was some good advice. But the attitude was wrong. Take it to God because you're guilty. And only God can help you as wrong as you are. All the wrong that you must have done. Only God can help you, so take it to God. Maybe he can help you, man, because he'll be on us. The advice was good, but oh, I don't know about the motivation. And then that 17th verse, the final words that we want to focus on here is, Job, you're big enough to do the crime. Now you got to be big enough to do the time. You You've got to accept your punishment. But we've already decided that you've done something wrong and that you're guilty and that this whole thing is about punishment. So now you have got to accept the punishment. I want to make three very quick points. Potent points. Potent points. Three potent points. Point number one. Good intentions are often tainted by insensitive tongues. Good intentions are often tainted by insensitive tongues. You go to do a good deed and you open your big mouth. Let me say it again. All right. You go to do a good deed and then you open your big mouth. Your tongue is insensitive. And the good that you go to do is tainted. The word tainted was intentionally selected because it means to affect something injuriously. It means to affect something in an unpleasant way. It means to spoil. Good intentions are often spoiled because we taint with insensitive tongues, and we spoil what we go to do. You know, be careful, y'all, what you say. That's all. Be careful what you say. Potent point number two. Good advice given for the wrong reason availeth little. Good advice given for the wrong reason availeth little. Eliphaz gave some good advice. Job, take it to the Lord and leave it there. Good advice, but it didn't avail very much because the reason behind it was a judgmental reason. You are guilty. You deserve it. But God may forgive you, you old rascal. So take it to God. You may get off with it. You may get away with what you've done. Chances are you won't follow that advice. You're going to dwell on the point, but I haven't done anything. That's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear the charge, not the advice. So therefore, the good advice avails nothing. And then the third point. The blind should be careful in making judgments based upon what they see. The blind should be careful in making judgments based upon what they see. Blind, Jesus says, can't lead the blind. Don't you dare try mockery on me to get a little splinter out of my eye when you got a forest, not a tree. But when you have a forest growing in your own eye, get it out of your own eye or stay away from me. Wow, be careful in making judgments based upon what they see. The three friends came to be helpful, but they had insensitive tongues. Their advice contaminated by their reasons for giving the advice. They had drawn conclusions and made judgments based upon their imperfect vision. Folks, sometimes you don't have to say, remember New Testament lesson? Jesus said to Peter and to James and to John, come and watch with me. They didn't have to say a word. They didn't have to do anything. Jesus just wanted them to be there. Sometimes, y'all, that's all it takes is for you to be there. Remember when Jesus came back the third time? He said, you still can't watch with me. For 1 hour, that's all. Don't you say anything. Don't you do anything. Just watch. What kind of friend are you? 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 I know you have good intention, but watch your tongue. I know you have good intention. Watch those conclusions that you draw based upon your imperfect sight. Sometimes, all you have to do is to be there. Jesus is my kind of friend. What kind of friend are you? Doors of the church are open. Congregation is standing. Choir will lead us in singing. We have a friend in Jesus. We know what kind of friend he is. But what kind of friend? Is your friendship done in God's way? Jesus is the example. Maybe you need a friend in order to be the kind of friend that he would want you to be. This is an invitation for Jesus to be your friend, for you to accept Jesus as your friend. If you're outside of the church, or if you are inactive in the church, and you put your friendship with Jesus on the back burner, but it's still on the stove, you want to move it up to one of those eyes that's on fire. Well, this is what this is all about. Maybe you're not on the stove at all. Maybe you're not even on the stove, and you want to get on the stove. This invitation is stove time. If you need to move a little closer to the fire, if you're inactive where you were or where you are, and you want to become active here, this is what this is all about. Doors of the church are open. You are invited to come. Not some things, but everything. Is there any never be discouraged? Take it. Or take it. In his arms, oh, those everlasting arms, will take and shield thee. Thou wilt find our solace. I want you now to have a little talk with Jesus. You tell him what you want him to do. You may